We all know about the bright side of fame. After all, it's fed to us in a continuous 24-hour news cycle on every type of screen imaginable. But for each news story that shines a light on all the positive aspects of celebrity, there are two that have fallen through the cracks because they cast the industry in a less than favorable light. These stories deal with the dark side of fame, and that's exactly what this series is all about. In today's episode, we're taking a look at one of the most beloved beauty influencers of all time, James Charles, a man that currently has more than 25 million subscribers on YouTube, but has also faced his fair share of starting scandals over the course of his relatively short career. On the bright side of fame is a self-made individual who, through his own passion and hard work, turned himself into the first cover boy to grace CoverGirl magazine.
I am so excited to announce that I am the first ever male CoverGirl. Oh my gosh.
Ever since becoming an internet sensation, James has infused the beauty world with new energy and brought millions upon millions of eyeballs to the field with his 27 million followers on Instagram alone. He's created his own makeup line, enjoyed sponsorships with big brands, and even found himself invited to the Met Gala, the biggest party in fashion.
This is like a lot of things that I would never normally feel comfortable in. I'm not the most body conscious, so the fact that I'm like shirtless under this isn't like horrifying, and I also like never wear black on my eyes, so this is just like a lot of things that are outside of my comfort zone, but I feel like that's exactly what camp is.
But on the dark side of fame is a different story altogether, and when it comes to James, it's kind of hard to know where to begin. His career-defining feud with his former close friend Tati in 2019 was so bad it was dubbed Dramageddon 2.0, but that's far from the lowest point of his career. Beyond manipulating people and marginalizing others, James also has a litany of minors that have come forward over the years, accusing him of having groomed them over social media. Those accusations are beyond troubling to say the least, and today I'm going to take you through some of the most well-kept secrets in James's career, bring them to light so you can decide for yourselves if they hold any merit. Hey, what's poppin', guys? It's your boy Marlon Palmer back at it again with a brand new episode of our series that takes a closer look at the darker corners of celebrity. Today's subject is none other than James Charles, one of the biggest internet celebrities ever, but will he stay that way for much longer? Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at DadDoMcFly. Let me know what you think, and let's get into the story. James Charles first found himself in the public spotlight after blowing up on Instagram, thanks in large part to wearing makeup in his high school yearbook photo. As someone who grew up on the internet, James was able to quickly figure out a way to parlay those 15 minutes of fame into even more. He created his own YouTube channel to vlog about his personal life, and before he knew it, he was viral enough to be named CoverGirl's first male ambassador. Over time, his career would grow with the launch of his own merchandise line, as well as eyeshadows, palettes, and his own national tour. He's even tried his hand at singing, though I do use that term somewhat loosely.
Yeah, that's cool, but he ain't like me. LA.
As successful as James indisputably is, he's also found himself marred in controversy time after time, and it all began with a single tweet. On February 16, 2017, James posted a joke about contracting the Ebola virus while visiting South Africa. Twitter users were quick to point out that the joke was stereotypical and degrading to the people of Africa, but instead of just saying "my bad," James reportedly took to blocking those users who called him out and encouraged himself to just move on. When he eventually decided to apologize, he only made things worse when he referred to Africa as a country and not, well, you know, the continent that it actually is. The continent. There's a lot of countries in it. You get it. Then only a month later, James would be called out by a former friend for having faked those graduation pictures that originally got him so much attention in the first place. I don't know if that's a good troll or a bad troll. It depends on who you are, I guess. After having his entire origin story thrown into question, the rest of 2017 was pretty quiet for James, but the start of 2018 would see things pick up back again. First, in March of that year, James mentioned in one of his YouTube videos that the rudest celebrity he had ever met was none other than Ariana Grande.
This is right after like all my scandals started happening, so I was getting like a bunch of really angry tweets from her fans that were really mad that she had followed me, and literally 4 hours later I started getting tweets like, wow, Ariana unfollowed James, like the rat gets what he deserves. So I checked and she did actually unfollow me, like literally 3 hours after she
Maybe
followed
you
me
just
in the
tweet
first
too
place.
much.
Probably.
According to James, the two were becoming friends over social media after Grande followed him on Twitter, but once the Ebola scandal happened, she immediately unfollowed him so as not to disappoint her fans. Doesn't seem rude, seems quite logical. Maybe a business decision. Later that year, after releasing the James Charles Morph eyeshadow palette, the quality of his beauty product was called into question by users who claimed that it not only permanently stained their eyelids, but made them break out into hives as well.
James did not warn me about the staining. He didn't tell any of us. It is not okay to do this to anyone.
Instead of apologizing, he told anyone experiencing issues to consult their dermatologist. Not him. Still no sorries. Not one sorry. Even during the course of one of the biggest moments of his career, his invitation to the Met Gala, James was still courting controversy. Prior to the event, he had been featured on a video alongside Tana Mongeau, brutally roasting an outfit worn by Zoe Kravitz to an Oscar party.
That's a 0.
It literally looks like
She didn't finish getting dressed. Yeah, that ain't it.
So, when James showed up to the Met Gala, what do you think he was wearing?
Tell me about your look tonight. Who designed this?
This is Alexander Wang, full safety pin top, a good silk bottom, and a good high heel boot too.
I like to think that this was some big gag, but when Twitter users pointed out the hypocrisy of what he had done, James stayed strangely quiet on the subject. Later in April of 2019, James created even more controversy when he uploaded a video of vlogger Jeff Wittek doing his makeup as the two discussed dating and sexuality. James decided to say this.
So you're not even full gay?
I mean, no, there have been girls in the past that I've thought were really, really beautiful. There's also been trans guys in the past too that I was really, really into for a moment in time.
This clip upset a whole bunch of his fans who felt his answer discredited transgender men as actual men, something that James would actually later on apologize for on Twitter. But things would take a dark turn later that month when a teenager named Gage Gomez posted a video to YouTube in which he claimed he was manipulated by James for months to pressure him into hanging out.
James then saw this as an opportunity to manipulate me as a person who may or may not have been trying to figure things out about their sexuality after the fact of telling him that I was straight multiple times. He then started putting a little bit of pressure on me.
James eventually responded on Twitter by suggesting that Gomez never told him he was straight and that the kid was simply looking to make a name for himself off the back of the internet influencers. The next month would see James' career almost blow up in his face. In May of 2019, his former friend and mentor Tati Westbrook publicly ended their friendship by posting a 43-minute video on YouTube called Bye Sister.
This is absolutely not a video I ever thought in a million years that I would be making, but I feel after a lot of thought that it's necessary for me to have a chat with you guys.
Beyond her anger at James promoting a rival product of her Halo Beauty vitamin brand, Tati took to calling James a bad role model due to his over-sexualized content. She then went a step further, alleging serious claims that James has leveraged his fame to sexually manipulate boys.
Oh my God, you tried to trick a straight man into thinking he's gay yet again, and somehow you're the victim. You are using your fame, your power, your money to play with people's emotions. You're threatening to ruin them. You're threatening to embarrass them. And you're doing that to have them behave sexually in your favor, even if they're straight.
James would respond by denying the claims and calling this the darkest period of his life. His reputation after this video was hit hard. In fact, he lost more than 3 million YouTube subscribers, including celebrity friends like Miley Cyrus, Shawn Mendes, and Kylie Jenner. Some people even took to burning his merchandise. Months later, in the middle of the COVID lockdown, he attended a birthday party for internet star Larray, along with dozens of others like Tana Mongeau, as well as Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio.
His celebration started at a restaurant before moving to the Hype House, which recently relocated to the Hollywood Hills. Dozens of famous faces were seen at the party on social media, including James Charles. All the while, California has seen record numbers of COVID-19 cases.
None of these people were wearing face masks or social distancing in the slightest, which led to James apologizing once more and promising to try and set a better example in the future. Speaking of the D'Amelio sisters, people took issue with a video that James uploaded to YouTube in November of 2020, where he had dinner alongside the D'Amelio sisters and their parents. The problem stemmed from Charlie and her sister complaining about the quality of food made for them, you know, by their private chef. I hate when that happens.
What is this?
Oh my God.
It's a mushroom.
No, it's not. That's a snail.
It is a snail.
Oh!
It's actually omen of good luck and fortune.
When people began to drag them over Twitter for their obnoxious behavior, James tried to defend them. This spurred fellow internet star Trisha Paytas to suggest that James' relationship with the girls was predatory. James would strike back in a video rant using Trisha's own less than stellar record against her.
The only reason she is in the spotlight is because she has said racist things. She said the N-word, she's done blackface, she offended the trans community, she offended the DID community, she said Hitler wasn't that bad of a guy, voted for Trump, and has started a fight with about every single other creator on this platform.
But things took a turn for the worse only 2 months later, when yet Yet another 16-year-old accuser stepped forward to suggest that James has been grooming him and sending him lewd photos of himself, looking for reciprocation.
After sending me that first picture of his body, explicitly, he sent me multiple after that, and I'll post them now. I was getting really uncomfortable, so I told him my age. I told him I'm 16. Meanwhile, he's 21. And then he proceeds to say, oh, but I didn't even get to see the, meaning my body.
James would respond by saying that these allegations are completely false and that the boy sent him lewd photos of himself in the shower, telling James that he was 18. But you said the claims were completely false, though. The boy has since suggested that James is lying and that his TikTok bio clearly states he was 16 years old at the time. So things couldn't get much worse, right? Oh, well, not quite, because only days later, another 17-year-old shared his private DMs with James that clearly shows flirtatious behavior while also making it crystal clear that James knows how old this boy is. Since then, James has shocked people further by pretending to be pregnant for 24 hours just to see what it was like. And then he decided to shave his head bald, which I mean is one way to get to the news cycle to move forward. Look, these allegations about grooming young boys are mad alarming, but at this point in time, there isn't a whole lot of physical proof to back it up. Still, where there's smoke, there's almost always fire. And there's no denying that James Charles' career, well, it's definitely smoking right now. And I do not mean that in a good way.
I've never been accused of being a child groomer, and this is not an accusation that I'm gonna take lightly. I'm not physically attracted to older guys, which sucks. Like, I would date like the absolute youngest.
I think we'll bring this video to an end here. What did you guys think of James Charles' brush with the dark side of fame? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow our series on Instagram at Before They're Famous, where you can vote on whose dark side you'd like to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.